Ladies and gentlemen, your brain is constantly changing. That's not motivational fluff, it's biological fact. The term we use to describe this ability is neuroplasticity, which simply means your brain can reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. But there's a catch. Plasticity doesn't happen just because you want it to. It doesn't happen because you read about something, or because you're vaguely interested in it. The brain requires a signal, a kind of internal highlighter, to know what to rewire. And that signal is attention, specifically focused attention. Think of attention like a spotlight in the theater of your mind. Whatever it illuminates, your brain treats as important. It flags it, prioritizes it, and, if the spotlight stays on long enough, it rewires itself to be better at it. This is how we learn a new language, build a habit, overcome trauma, or master a skill. Nothing happens without attention. In fact, many of the failures in behavior change, skill acquisition, or personal growth come down to fragmented or shallow attention, not a lack of intelligence or motivation. In scientific terms, focused attention triggers the release of neuromodulators like acetylcholine in the brain. Acetylcholine acts like a molecular glue. It binds neural activity to specific circuits, telling your brain, this right here is worth keeping. It essentially tags the neurons involved in whatever you're focusing on and signals them to change. Without this signal, learning doesn't consolidate. You might be exposed to information, but it doesn't stick. Now, what does it mean to actually apply focused attention in your daily life? It starts with understanding that multitasking is a myth. The brain does not process multiple streams of complex information simultaneously. What it does is tasks, which rapidly, burning energy and losing precision with each switch. So if you want to truly rewire your brain, whether that's to get better at writing, learn code, improve memory, or develop emotional regulation, you have to eliminate distractions. This means putting your phone on airplane mode, closing all unrelated browser tabs, turning off notifications, and giving your full sensory and cognitive load to the task at hand. Dr. Huberman often recommends working in ultradian cycles, which are natural 90-minute blocks where your brain can sustain deep focus. During these windows, you should engage in what he calls self-directed adaptive plasticity, deliberate, effortful work that stretches your capacity. You might struggle, you might feel uncomfortable. That's a good sign. That discomfort signals that your brain is engaging in metabolic and structural change. It's a workout for your neural circuits. But here's something equally important. Focus alone is not enough. The plasticity process requires consolidation, and that happens during periods of rest. After a deep focus session, you should take a break. Go for a walk, lie down with your eyes closed, or engage in something light and non-demanding. This rest phase allows the brain to literally replay the neural patterns it activated during the focus period. Think of it like your brain rehearsing what just happened, reinforcing the changes and storing them more permanently. This is also why sleep is so crucial to learning. During non-REM sleep, particularly in the early part of the night, your brain reactivates the circuits involved in your learning, strengthening synaptic connections. If you're depriving yourself of sleep, you're essentially stealing the second half of the learning process. Let's return to the idea of attention. It's not just about focus duration, it's also about focus quality. Your internal state affects how well you can focus. If you're anxious, distracted, or lethargic, your attention becomes fragmented. Huberman often emphasizes the role of state control in attention. Breathing exercises, visual anchoring, cold exposure, or even the strategic use of caffeine can prime your nervous system into a state of alert, but calm focus. Exactly the kind of state where plasticity thrives. Interestingly, it's not only what you focus on, but how you focus that matters. When you're trying to learn something difficult, it's more effective to do so with full engagement, even if for short bursts, than to spend hours in semi-focused, passive activity. Quality always trumps quantity when it comes to rewiring the brain. There's also a timing element. Research shows that your cognitive alertness naturally peaks in the first 4 to 6 hours after waking. That's the best time for high-focus tasks. If you align your focus sessions with this window, you tap into your natural rhythms. If you try to force intense cognitive work late at night, you're fighting biology, and biology usually wins. In summary, rewiring your brain is not mysterious. It's not spiritual or abstract. It's the direct outcome of focused attention applied consistently and intelligently, followed by periods of rest and recovery. If you want to learn faster, change habits, or reshape emotional patterns, this is the protocol. Eliminate distractions, lean into effortful focus, respect the need for consolidation, and repeat the process over time. You're not just hoping for change, you're engineering it at the neural level. Your brain is listening to what you pay attention to. So choose wisely. What you repeatedly focus on becomes who you are. Stress is often viewed as something to avoid, an enemy, a problem to fix, or a flaw in our system. But that's a misunderstanding of what stress really is. Through the lens of neuroscience and human physiology, stress is not inherently negative. In fact, it's a necessary biological response. It's a signal, not a sentence. It tells your brain and body that something important is happening, and it opens a window for growth, adaptation, and rewiring. Your stress response is orchestrated by your autonomic nervous system. When you encounter a challenge, be it physical, emotional, or mental, your body activates what's known as the sympathetic nervous system. This triggers a cascade of responses: increased heart rate, heightened alertness, dilation of pupils, release of adrenaline and cortisol. These changes prepare you to take action. They prime your system to handle the challenge in front of you. Now here's the important part: when the challenge is manageable, meaning it's not overwhelming and you stay cognitively engaged, it creates the optimal conditions for neuroplasticity. That is, your brain is more likely to rewire in response to experiences that feel effortful, slightly stressful, but are ultimately under your control. This is what Dr. Andrew Huberman refers to as adaptive stress. When you voluntarily expose yourself to stress in this way, such as during a hard workout, public speaking, or a mentally challenging task, your body releases neuromodulators like norepinephrine and epinephrine. These chemicals increase alertness and drive, but they also tag the experience as important, making it more likely that your brain will remember it and learn from it. So the discomfort you feel during a hard workout or an intense study session is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that your brain is paying attention, but there's a threshold. Stress becomes harmful when it's chronic, unpredictable, or uncontrollable. That's when the very same chemicals that support adaptation can begin to cause damage, like elevated cortisol interfering with sleep, memory, or immune function. This is why the context and mindset surrounding stress are so critical. If you can frame stress as an opportunity for growth and engage with it on your own terms, you convert it from a threat into a training signal. Cold exposure is one practical example Huberman often discusses. When you immerse yourself in cold water, your body enters a stress state. Heart rate spikes, breathing quickens, adrenaline surges. But if you stay calm and mentally present, especially if you focus on controlling your breath, you teach your body and brain that you can remain composed under pressure. You're literally building the circuitry of resilience. Over time, this translates into better performance in other domains, whether it's handling social stress, work pressure, or emotional discomfort. Exercise functions similarly. Lifting weights, running sprints, or doing high-intensity interval training creates a spike in stress hormones. But because the exposure is voluntary and time-limited, your brain adapts in a positive way. You build not only physical strength, but also mental capacity. Your threshold for stress increases. You're training your nervous system to handle higher loads without breaking down. Even cognitive tasks can trigger adaptive stress. Learning something new, especially when it's difficult or unfamiliar, activates stress pathways. But this is the cost of neuroplasticity. Change, by definition, is uncomfortable. If you're trying to rewire a habit, think differently, or break a pattern, you will encounter resistance. Your body interprets that resistance as stress, but it's a useful kind of stress. It means you're at the edge of your capabilities. And that's exactly where growth happens. Recovery plays a vital role here too. The stress recovery cycle is how the brain and body improve. Stress alone doesn't make you stronger. Recovery after stress is what locks in the adaptation. After a focused, effortful period, physical or mental, you need to downshift. This means activating the parasympathetic nervous system through sleep, non-sleep deep rest like meditation or breathwork, or even simple nature walks. That's when your nervous system consolidates the gains. So when you feel stress, instead of panicking or withdrawing, you can ask, is this stress helping me grow? If the answer is yes, then lean into it. Use tools to stay present. Control your breathing. Focus your vision. Stay engaged. If the stress feels overwhelming, use the same tools to shift into recovery. Slow nasal breathing, shifting your gaze to the periphery, movement, or calming music. In either case, you're not a passive victim. You're an active participant in how your nervous system responds and adapts. Stress, when used wisely, is a doorway, not a dead end. It's a signpost that you're stretching your boundaries, engaging new circuits, pushing into the unknown. The discomfort you feel is the sensation of your old wiring being challenged. And with the right tools, that challenge becomes change. So don't run from stress. Don't fear it. Listen to it. Use it. Train with it. Rewire through it. Because that's what your brain was built to do.